Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So, I want to talk about something that Alex Berenson wrote about. He's talking about a new Chinese paper, which shows again why gain of function research on risky viruses should be banned as a crime against humanity. I'm reading this article, like, what? I s it feels like the so-called experts that we're always told to trust, the scientists that supposedly know everything. You read, the more you hear about what they're doing, you think that they are purposely trying to destroy this world, purposely trying to destroy people. It's it's absolutely ludicrous, the things that they are trying to do. Go through his article a bit. Like he says, we don't let chemists insist that they can make designer opioids. We don't let nuclear engineers tell us they get to play with plutonium in private labs. So why do we let virologists hijack the debate over whether they should be allowed to make risky viruses, especially respiratory viruses like the flu, but even deadlier? Over 4 years after SARS-CoV-2 escaped from a Chinese laboratory, I escaped in, you know, little yeah. I have serious doubts. Obviously, the story is that it was in a wet market and blah blah blah. It was all just a freak of nature. Um, you know, the wet market, which was right next door to the laboratory where they actually create the disease, the virus. But let's overlook that because the Chinese told us, no, it's naturally occurring. We all know that's a lie. Okay, it came out of the laboratory. But why I'm questioning, this, it escaped. I think it might have been allowed out on purpose. I think it was released on the population on purpose. Okay, so this is all the insane research tricks known as gain of function. Effectively, this work makes viruses and bacteria more dangerous, either more transmissible, more virulent, or both. That is what gain of function effectively is. It's trying to make these viruses and bacteria more dangerous. It is very frustrating the way these scientists behave. They treat us as if we're idiots and they are just allowed to do anything that they want. And like I said, and then we're always told to trust the science, trust the scientists. But what are they actually trying to do? They On January 4th this year, Chinese researchers published a preprint paper reporting the lethality of a modified pangolin coronavirus. The researchers used the new virus to infect mice that had been genetically altered to make the ACE2 protein, ACE2, as in Alpha Charlie Echo 2, ACE2 protein, which is common in human cells and a target of the SARS-CoV-2. So they've infected mice. All the mice they infected with the pangolin coronavirus died. Apparently, get this, from late stage brain infections. I'll just bring up the actual article that it shows so you can see what I'm talking about. Uh, it's disturbing to say the least. Lethal infection of human ACE2 transgenic mice caused by SARS-CoV-2 related pangolin coronavirus. So they've released this. The coronavirus the Chinese researchers studied does not exist in nature. It was created in a lab by being repeatedly passaged through cells. Cell culture passage is a common laboratory technique that doesn't necessarily have to be used for gain of function research. but it causes rapid mutations in coronaviruses. In their paper, the Chinese scientists refer to the propensity of coronaviruses to undergo adaptive mutation during passage culture. In this case, the cell passage led the pangolin coronavirus to lose a chunk of its genetic base. The newly modified virus proved able to infect the brains of mice once they had been genetically altered to be more like humans in their response to viruses. So why, unless you're purposely trying to kill humans, which obviously they are, why else would you create these, you change, you genetically alter the mice to be more like humans. You modify this virus, you infect the mice, and then 100% of the mice that you infect die, and then I hate that phrase, trust the science, and then bring in their experts to talk about things. And you sit there going, these are the very people that created this thing that's now killing us, which, these are the very people that created the coronavirus. And then they bring in the scientists to say, hey, well, we've also got this special jab, this special little potion you can put in your body that'll fix you right up. Trust them. Anyway, I'll continue on with it. Surprisingly, all the mice that were infected with the live virus succumbed to the infection within 7 to 8 days post inoculation, rendering a mortality rate of 100%. Awesome. The researchers infected only a handful of mice, and their finding doesn't prove the virus would be lethal in humans who have more layered and sophisticated immune defenses. Still, as they wrote, the research underscores a spillover risk that a spillover risk of the modified coronavirus into humans. This is, so frustrating. How can you have a spillover risk? There's only a spillover risk because you've created the risk. There never was a spillover risk before because the risk was never there. And then you go and create the risk. He says, it continues, of course, the spillover is only a risk if it leaks from a lab. Or it's only a risk if someone like, Klaus Schwab or whoever is behind the scenes pulling the strings, says, hey, we need to try and cull the population, or we need to bring everyone into line. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we release this virus and you know, try and hold everyone back, try and pull everyone into line, try and control everyone. The usual rationale for such risky research is that it may help scientists determine which viruses may mutate to become future threats. Yet COVID itself shows the falsity of that premise. Pretend that SARS-CoV-2 did not leak from a Chinese lab, though it did. He keeps saying it leaked. That's frustrating. It didn't leak. That was purposely released, in my opinion. In that case, it emerged in Wuhan, where advanced coronavirus research was being conducted. Yet that research offered scientists no warning into the virus's potential risks or how to treat it until it had already spread beyond any possible containment. This is why I believe it was purposely released. I think it was all part of a big experiment to see what the virus would do to the human population, but also to see how humans would react when forced into going the treatment, undergoing an experimental treatment for it, and to see how much people could be brought under control. Continuing on, nor despite massive efforts have virologists predicted any SARS-CoV-2 variants in advance. Omicron in particular came as a surprise. We simply do not know enough about how viruses mutate or interact with our immune systems or other variants to be able to predict what they will do. All we can do is respond to them once they emerge. Gain of function research is also theoretically useful in creating advanced vaccines. But the failure of the mRNA shows how clumsy our vaccine technology remains. Well, it's only clumsy. It's only clumsy, uh, you know, if you're not trying to make billions and billions and billions of dollars out of it. If you're trying to make billions and billions and billions of dollars, then it's not clumsy. It's actually very, very, very helpful. If you're trying to make lots of money, very helpful. If you're trying to control the human race, very helpful. Goes on, we can sequence viruses quickly once they become widespread threats and create jabs that will ramp up our immune systems. I don't think it did ramp up our immune system. I think it I think it broke down our immune system. So many people are having issues with immune systems now. If you've bothered to look up what's actually happening worldwide with in all these countries that pushed the vaccine onto their people, people are having a lot of problems with it now. A lot of problems with their immune system. They're continually getting coronavirus because there's no natural immunity anymore because they've all been jabbed. Who knows what it's done to their immune system? I think it's actually broken it down, hasn't made it any better. Continuing on, but the coronavirus and influenza viruses in particular mutate quickly, and vaccines may actually hamper our immune system as it tries to deal with new variants. In other words, we can roll out vaccines for respiratory viruses very quickly because that's the way all these companies make money, but that doesn't mean they will work long term. Generations of viral research has not solved this problem. So what we do know is that research labs in China, the United States, Russia, the three most trustworthy countries in the world, China, United States, Russia, then Europe and everywhere else regularly suffer leaks and safety crises. It doesn't matter how well run they are, how competent the scientists are, people make mistakes even when they are working with the most dangerous of pathogens. In May of 2010, a 24-year-old French researcher named Emily Germain, I'll say, cut open her thumb while cleaning a machine used to cut brain sections from mice infected with a version of mad cow disease, which is caused by misfolded proteins called prions. 9 years later, Germain died horribly after prion disease called, I have no idea how to pronounce this, Creutzfeldt-Jakob, destroyed her brain. There you go. I'll bring up a picture of this lady here actually, just so you can see who I'm talking about. There she is, Amélie Germain in 2010, the year she was exposed to prions during a lab accident. She died in 2019 at the age of 33. Like I said, why are these people allowed to actually do these things, to take these experiments on? Why are they allowed to do it? They are doing this on purpose. This is all pushing towards a one world government. It's all being pushed towards bringing down the human population. You know, when you look at all the rhetoric about climate change, one of their biggest fears is having too much population, the population of the world growing to an extent where the earth can no longer support the amount of people that it has. And this is what they're trying to do when it this is what they're trying to do with these viruses. This is what I believe. They're trying to bring the human population down. Listen, I believe why these scientists are allowed to do these things, like create these viruses and do this gain of function research. I believe the reason why they're given the money, the labs, the ability to be able to do this is the because the people who are actually running the world, the Klaus Schwabs, the Bill Gates, all the powers that be, the you know who I'm talking about. Okay, the people. I'm just naming the easy names. The people who are the big conglomerates behind the money, who are actually running the world. They are trying to cull the human population. That is what I believe. God said in the Bible to go and populate the world. But yeah, we see a society now that pushes abortions, that creates viruses that kill, then creates vaccines that they say everyone has to have. Oh, but then the vaccines don't actually work. And then it doesn't work properly. It'll work for a little short time. So just get a booster, but the booster only works for a short time. So keep getting it. Oh, but then it's all just making your immune system even worse than it was before. And it still doesn't work. But we've got new viruses coming out, but they will just continue to cull the population. And we're also, who do you, I think these are the same people who are behind some of the new things coming out, like the Dinks. If you haven't heard of it, the double income, the new acronym, double income, no kids. The couples all out there spruiking how great it is to have a double income, husband and wife. We're married, living together, we're living a great life. We get to do whatever we want because we have no kids we have to worry about, and we can afford to do everything. And that's why you see all these Western worlds now, how their populations are going down. Not even Western nations. China having big issues with population growth. They've been pushing this for a long time. That's why gain of function research is allowed to continue. I think this is part of the reason why the coronavirus was released into the world anyway. And also the reason why we were forced to take, not me, because I didn't take it, but people were forced to take the jab. It's all about controlling the population and bringing the population down. Thus, why abortion is so heavily promoted. It's why this dinks fad is so heavily promoted. They don't want people to continue to populate the world anymore. They want to control the population. They want to bring it down. They're trying to cull the human race. And they're trying to scare everyone with climate change. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Oh, it's going to be a bright, sunny day. That's my opinion. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher.